you see that in many people's eyes?
I do. I see it in a lot of people. I think there's something that God put in all of us, and that's to overcome, to move forward.
Jesus Christ, you can trust him. He'll never fail. We've seen midgets grow. We've seen arms and legs that stop growing. Mandada basata. I don't make this stuff up.
So are we going to be called away to meet the Lord? But it's not going to be 300 years. We live in right at the coming of Jesus Christ.
You're just a 10-foot-tall crybaby.
I'm crying.
It's not so bad. I mean, no Christians aren't being killed.
No, not yet.
What the Bible says, Leviticus 20:13. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with the woman, they shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. And that, my friend, is the cure for AIDS.
The notion that atheists are somehow the intelligentsia among us and so forth, I think this is just completely false.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 35 of the Age of Reason podcast, where we are not for the faint of thought. What's going on, Nick?
Not much, man. Just recovering from my massive road trip.
You know, we're both recovering, but you look like you're recovering more than me. Your hair is doing something crazy right now.
Well, I'm trying to relax, and I'm not paying attention to anything. Nobody around town is getting the best of me when I go out to grab some food or anything right now. I'm shorts and shoes with no socks, which that's completely
Shoes
not me.
So you sweat easier than I do. We both get hot pretty easy, but you're worse than me. But that's the reason why I never wear shoes without socks. I can't stand the sweatiness of my feet.
I'm just being lazy right now. As far as sweating goes, I probably sweat enough over the past 2 weeks. And actually I think I was only in Indiana for about 4 or 5 days, but it was like 92 degrees there and the humidity was about 70%. So
Ew.
Yeah, it was just being in a hot shower all day long.
So I was gone for 2 weeks as well. I have a feeling I'd rather have been in Indianapolis because I got to go to your neck of the woods. I got to go to San Jose for 2 weeks. And you and I didn't get to hang out because you were in Indianapolis at the time, but I don't like Northern California, like, by any means. That's the longest I've ever spent in the Bay Area, and I'll tell you what, and I was surprising people with this. I lived in Southern California for 4 years, and I would take 405 during rush hour driving through Santa Monica before I would take driving the 680 or the 880 or any other 80 freeways, because they're all 680, 880, 280, 580. There's all fucking 80s in the Bay Area. It's hard, confusing as shit. And I never even went to San Francisco, but I'll tell you what, I've driven through every big city in the western half of the United States now. And San Francisco scares the hell out of me. I never want to drive through that city.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the same lecture that I give to people all the time about traffic. First off, I was just up, my road trip began in Seattle, and everyone up there complains about the traffic through Everett and Seattle. And I tell them it's nothing compared to San Francisco traffic, or 880, 580, 280, what have you. And then I've also been to Southern California, and I've been in that traffic. And I'll tell you what, traffic is just traffic. If you know the times of day that you can avoid it, do that. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in it, and you just have to accept it. It's part of life. People are going to keep fucking and making babies and make more of us, and we're all going to own a car because we're Americans, and it's just going to keep happening. Well, eventually, one day, we're going to be on 12-lane highways, and we're all going to be parked at a dead stop. And, maybe by then Tesla will have come up with a driverless car that won't kill people.
That'd be
and,
nice.
and everybody can just sit in that and just move along at a nice pace. But, even then people are not going to want to move along at a nice, slow electric pace. There's going to be some guy trying to floor it and wedge himself between two other electric cars.
Well, we're actually having babies less. So hopefully, I don't think it's going to make a dent. It ain't going to make the dent. Anyway, so it was kind of a cool little vacation for me from politics. The job that I was on sucked. Oh my god, I'm so happy to be home. But Alex and I did our episode last week together. But other than that, it's been kind of nice being out of politics. We talked about how Trump kicked the baby out of his rally for having bigger hands than he did.
He did.
He's got to be trying to implode right now. But before we get into all that, how was your drive from the West Coast through halfway across the country?
Well, I'll tell you 3 things, well, maybe 4 things stuck out, but I'll try and make them quick. So, driving through Montana, I realized if you judge a state based on the billboards you see along the highway, not good. Because in Montana, all the billboard, and I'm not exaggerating here. There were a couple here and there for like Billy's car lot or something, but almost everything was either meth is bad, find Jesus, and get a math tutor. I was kind of speechless driving through there. And then right toward the end, there was one that I really enjoyed. It was, come see Grizzlies 5 miles ahead. And then the next one was, come see Grizzlies 3 miles ahead. No cage. And then the next one was 1 mile ahead. Grizzlies. See the Grizzlies. Not in a cage. And I'm sitting there going, what the hell are they talking about? I really wanted to pull off, but we were on a schedule, so I couldn't do it. Then you get to Wyoming, and we stop at a Sinclair gas station there. They have a green dinosaur as their logo. I took a picture with it.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So you go into the gas station, and to my left, you can get a to-go Godfather's Pizza. And then in between the Godfather's, or next to the Godfather's Pizza, is your beer and wine. And then right next to that is where you can get an AR-15 and 1,000 rounds of ammo on sale.
Sweet.
All of it in one spot. And right in front of the pizza were the little racks where you could get racist bumper stickers and anti-Obama bumper stickers, and they even had crooked Hillary bumper stickers.
Oh, nice.
And yay Trump bumper stickers and everything. And at that same gas station, it was really funny. I saw what I believe to be a gay trucker. Just from his t-shirt, he turned around, the manliest man you ever saw, and he turns around and he's got a t-shirt on that has a rainbow at the top, and it says "Trucker butts ride hard," something like that.
Holy shit!
I almost burst out laughing, but then I realized I probably shouldn't call attention to him because Cletus behind the counter was kind of eyeballing him funny anyway. So, and then actually at another gas station in Wyoming, not too far from there, it was kind of sad. There was a lesbian couple that were perusing the aisle for snacks on their road trip. And they were holding hands, and when I walked around the aisle, they immediately got bug-eyed and let go of each other.
Really?
Yeah, and I was so super sad by that. Like, it was really, I felt really bad about it. And when I got out to the gas pump, one of them was actually pumping diesel into their truck, and we were doing the same. So I actually got to talk to them, and I said, hey, I'm from the West Coast. And she's like, yeah, she goes, I know it. We're just really careful. We're moving from Seattle to Texas, and we're frightened. One of them had work down there, and that was their only option. So, but yeah, it was kind of sad.
I'm still thinking, Rubber Ducky, this is fabulous. Come in.
Yeah.
Gay truck.
Gay trucker.
Gay
yeah.
trucker.
This is Rubber Ducky 1. Like the way you're hauling your load there. You want to pull off?
So, do you actually talk to these two? How did you start that conversation?
I literally just walked up to her and I said, hey, I'm not trying to misinterpret anything, but, you guys were holding hands and then you let go when you saw me. And I don't know what your relationship is like, but I just want to let you know that I in no way, shape, or form think that that's, wrong or anything. And she, she was very generous with it, and it was kind of awkward, but I had to say it for myself, being the guilty white male that I am, just because we're not from that. Like, the town I live in now is kind of, like you hear in the interview with the girls, it's not really unaccepting, but there are elements of it that don't feel nice. But I mean, I grew up, San Francisco, all that. None of that bothers me whatsoever. And it was, just to see somebody look at me and automatically go like, oh, and let go. It's like, it felt bad.
So the only thing I went through this week is I went home on my weekends when I was there, and I had to go to my in-laws' house.
I'm sorry.
So I'm talking with the male in that relationship, and some of you guys, some of you listeners that have followed us for quite a while, may remember this callback here. But I'm talking to this guy, and he says basically that we need to make sure Hillary doesn't get in office, and we got to give it to Trump because and this was his thing. What's the worst that can happen? Why not give him a shot? and he said, and I said, basically, I told him, what we say all the time on this show, you have to listen to people that disagree with you more than you listen to people that do. And I brought up, last time I was here, you were talking about how Glenn Beck has some interesting things to say, and he denied the whole thing. Now, I remember telling that story right after our Christmas episode. I remember telling the story when he's sitting there and he's like, well, you know who Glenn Beck is? And Glenn Beck is too far for him, even though he's voting for Trump. And we sit there and we're talking about, Obama is low, he's too soft on immigration. And Obama has deported more people than any president in history. Mm-hmm. Definitely more than Bush. He's deported more fucking people than any other president. And so I'm like, what are you talking about? This wall? Do you have any idea how much this wall is going to cost? Well, no. Okay, well, let's talk about economics. And he said, well, I don't want to talk about economics. I want to talk about the Supreme Court. We need to get Donald Trump in there because Hillary Clinton, the Supreme Court justices that she's going to elect, are going to fuck us for the next 25 years. He's using our argument. And so I said, you know what? I said, yes, for you, yes, she will. Because getting her in that office means that gay marriage stays where it's at. It means we can keep, Roe versus Wade. We can keep all of these progressive social things, social stuff going. I said, and I am going to masturbate to just the agony that I know you're going to go through when all of these things go through. I'm going to enjoy every dripping fucking second of it. And I did not let up. We were talking about guns. I let this motherfucker have it. And come to find out, he is in complete agreement with Obama and Hillary's gun policies. In complete agreement with them. But he doesn't know what their policies are, so he would have no fucking idea.
Right. No, it's is the future teacher here. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do when I actually am allowed to teach in a classroom, because the level of ignorance, maybe I have to go to a different country. I don't know. The level of ignorance, because I ate in a Cracker Barrel.
Oh, what?
Every day.
Oh.
No, you're sitting there thinking this is some joyful thing. It was not for me. First of all, everything in there has meat. I ordered turnip greens and there was ham in it.
That's your problem?
Well, no. It's the type of people that are attracted to the Cracker Barrel, because I did get into some Trump discussions with random people.
Really?
Yes, and I very gently went into this because I was not looking to be killed or deliverenced out there, if you will. I don't want anyone like telling me. Absolutely, I do have a pretty mouth, so I don't want to.
And you got a goatee, man. You got that prison pussy.
That's right. Yeah, I gently waded into Trump with a lot of people, and overall, complete ignorance on any sort of economic policies, not just Trump's, but even Democrats. They know socialism is bad. They don't know why. They don't even know what it is. And they'll admit to that. They'll admit that they are not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Stay in the fucking drawer then.
Yeah, no, I know.
Don't come out on voting day.
They admit that they are, I only spoke to one college-educated person that said that they were going to vote for Trump, and they were literally doing it for the reasons that Michael Caine quoted in the Dark Knight, with some people just want to watch the world burn. Like this guy was just fed up with Hillary and the whole system, and he wants Trump to be in there just to
shake things up.
I don't know. Yeah, like he was already conservative bent on all of his ideas anyway, but he just wanted to shake it up and see what came out in the wash. There's just back to the teaching thing. There's just a complete and flat total ignorance of everything. Most people are one policy voter, one issue
single
voter.
Issues, yeah.
Single issues, yeah. Hillary will let women just abort right on the street in front of everyone. So I got to vote for Trump.
This fucking placentas in the streets.
Well, yeah, and you've been away. You said that you haven't been paying attention. Did you see that Trump is now saying that Obama and Hillary are the founders
of ISIS? One little thing before we get off this. My single issue about Cracker Barrel, up until 2005, they still had segregated seating in the South. They still had a black section that they would seat people in their southern states.
Well, God bless the Cracker Barrel.
That's why when you said Cracker Barrel, I was like, no, they have a cracker section and a black section, but up until 2005, they had that.
Here's the other thing, too. We ate at Cracker Barrel in the morning, and then we ate at Texas Roadhouse at night. And both of those places, I'm telling you, could not be more of the Statue of Liberty masturbating the American flag.
With country music.
Oh,
now,
man.
Here's the thing. I love Texas Roadhouse. I love the food. The food is amazing. I always grab 2 bags of peanuts on my way out the door. Like, I love Texas Roadhouse. Lindsay and I both love it. But I do remember when we lived in when we were living in Phoenix, we went to Texas Roadhouse there, and that was where I saw the guy that walked in with the trench coat on with NRA, and then he took his trench coat off. He had a cowboy hat on, and it said, "If you want my guns, you better bring yours." Like that whole. All the people that got sold on the idea that Obama was coming for your guns, like, yeah, there's an element to that there. But like, if you go to the one in Modesto by where you live, I've been there a few times. There isn't really that. It's not a classy place, but the food's good.
I'm not looking for classy. And here's the other thing too. I haven't had any meat since February.
Really?
So, yeah,
Good
really.
for you.
I haven't because just seeing the environmental and the environmental cost on humanity and everything that's happening because we want cheap meat all the time.
Yes.
Just walking into a Texas Roadhouse where they have this like just porn display of steaks right when you walk in.
Yeah, they do. They do.
It's just, I don't know. It gives me the willies, and I'm really careful not to judge other people for eating meat. I don't want to do that, but one of the reasons that we're messing up our planet, that we're messing up our bodies, is because we have this high demand for it. I have no problem. Like if you told me like, here's this cow is locally grown, it was killed by the farmer. And here you go, and I'm sitting there and I'm saying, well, $30 for a steak, that's really expensive, but how often do I eat it? Once a year or something.
The reason I just yelled a minute ago is because you reminded me of another part of that conversation. So when I was there during Christmas, we had a conversation about climate change, and I told him about how cows. Cows contribute to climate change in the top 2 ways. One, methane gas is,
Right.
is huge. But secondly, it's how we are holding our cows. 90% of the deforestation of our world is made to make room for more cows to
Right.
produce more meat. So I'm
Right.
sitting there and I'm going over gun statistics with them about, you know, how often a good guy with a gun and all this shit I've mentioned before. And I'm throwing all these stats at him. And he's like, do you ever get any proof for anything that you say? Because last time we were here, you're talking about how cow farts are screwing up the planet. And I looked at this guy and I said, science is under no obligation to make sense to you. Just because you won't do your own research does not mean that it's not true. Just like,
Yeah.
and that's the reason why we have your segment. So you can come on here and talk about things that make absolutely no fucking sense. And it doesn't matter if they do or not. You know, when you came on your very first one and you talked about how we've never touched anything, or the last one that you did, where if we inject shit from a healthy person inside the butthole of an unhealthy person, we can have some very positive health-related changes. That does not make fucking sense, but it doesn't have to. Why? Because I'm not a fucking doctor. I don't get to decide what makes sense.
Right.
And I told this guy, if you have an issue, you know, the one big difference between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump is you can go on Hillary Clinton's website, and whether you agree or disagree with her policy, at least you can fucking read it. We're having to wait for Trump's dream team to hear what his ideas for the economy are.
Yeah, no, that's one of my favorite quotes that's always attributed to Neil deGrasse Tyson
Yes.
is the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you.
Right.
And that's the beautiful thing about science is, you know, we can look out there and see something that we have never, we could never even dream of, and we sit back, and just because it doesn't make sense to us, we don't get to sit there and say, well, it's not true then.
Well, at some point, nothing ever made sense to you.
No, absolutely. That's
right.
We've talked about that before. The God of the Gaps argument in philosophy.
Well, even us
long
today.
ago, the caveman sat there and said they didn't know how fire was made.
Well, we
know
when
how
you
fire
were,
is made.
No, exactly. So there's the God of the Gaps, but I mean that's also true with everybody's life. You don't understand how multiplication works when you're 5 years old. It needs to be taught to you. And just because, you know, we have core subjects that need to be taught to you throughout school, you may never look into astronomy. You may never look into environmental science and that sort of thing. And you know, and calling back to the RNC convention, Trump digs coal. This guy doesn't fucking get it. He doesn't understand. But let's get into politics. Because we're gonna play the second half of the interview you did with the lesbian millennials. We'll do that towards the end of the show. But hey, have you gotten No Man's Sky?
No.
It's pretty awesome. Especially
that's
like for me, I'm into astronomy.
I'm hearing that.
It's great.
My problem is next Wednesday I start up my semester again, and I am going to be on hardcore physics lockdown for next couple months.
Well, I look forward to those lessons. But anyway, let's get into I'm looking forward to hearing more things that make absolutely no sense to me. I just understand that I don't have to be the authority on everything. That's what these people need to learn. But I suppose we can start off with Trump's titties.
If you'd like to, I got a very special surprise in the mail today. As I went out and checked my mother's mail today, and I don't know how I felt actually. At first I was kind of like, what? And then afterward I was just giggling ecstatically like I was stoned, because my mother got a letter in the mail today from Mr. Donald J. Trump.
Now, your mom you don't have any registered Republicans in that house, right?
No, I do not. Well, actually, I do. My mom is a registered Republican because I used to be a registered Republican, and my idea behind it, because my mom is a lifelong Democrat, and she always votes Democrat. But when I was a bit younger, I had come up with the idea that when the Republicans eventually gain so much power that they start rounding their political prisoners up, I want to be a registered Republican, because they sit back and they say that Obama's a socialist and Hitler was a socialist, so black man equals Jew hater, and there you go. No, it's coming from the right wing, because the liberal side of it did not produce Hitler. So
well, and it certainly wasn't this nation's Judeo-Christian values. So says Ben Carson, black conservative.
Would you like to hear a few tidbits?
I would love to hear this. I want a letter from Mr. Trump.
Well, it says, "Dear fellow Republican, the liberal media doesn't like me." That's the very first line. Next paragraph. He has to keep it short. Just look at how they report my every last move and spin it negatively. Sometimes I feel like I just can't win, but that's fine. As I showed in the Republican primaries, I don't need them to win. All I need is you to make America great again. And because of you, our campaign will deliver the most historic landslide victory of any presidential race this country has ever seen. We will win, and then, once in office, we will win some more.
Did he use the word bigly at all? Because I heard him use the word big. We're going to win bigly, all right? Bigly. Bigly? What the fuck? This guy's supposed to be college educated. What the hell?
Is it? And my agenda is what the Democrats, the liberal elitists, meaning educated people,
right,
and the left-wing media fear the most. What's their latest lie, I ask you? Trying to convince the American people that no one will vote for me and that crooked Hillary will win in a landslide. Which is interesting, because I just checked 538 blog earlier today, and crooked Hillary is now a 90% sure thing, according to 538.
Praise science.
I think she is like half a point off of being 10 points ahead of him nationwide right now.
So when I was on my flight, both flights to and from, I listened to a few of our earlier episodes from over the last year. And I remember, I forgot about this, but I remember saying how much I wanted Trump to win the nomination, because I want the death of the Republican Party, and I want anybody that supports Donald Trump, I want him to get crushed. And I wanted it by Bernie, but whatever. But I still want him to get just annihilated, just so we can show these people really how proud and few they really are.
Well, he may be crashing and burning, man. A couple of Mother Jones articles were talking about how his campaign manager, Paul Manafort, looks like he accepted $13 million from a pro-Russian group that was there for overthrowing Crimea. And there's apparently $63 million missing from the Trump campaign, which they suspect Trump has used to pay himself and all of his Trump enterprises back for the $50 million in loans that Trump personally lent his campaign.
He said he was going to do this. It shouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah, I know.
But if there is corruption, this is what happens when you hire your caddy as one of your communication directors for social media.
Oh, absolutely. And the woman that they had on Fox the other night.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she, and not that being arrested for shoplifting ruins your life and you should never be listened to again. But I mean, she's not the cleanest.
But she
knife
looks
in the drawer.
down on everybody else, which is why I love this term.
Right.
She's a Republican. This is they don't pay attention to themselves at all. But most importantly, Trump's threat to Hillary Clinton. Well, there's some Second Amendment people out there. Who knows what they'll do about it? Like, you can't talk like that. Well, he can. Obviously, he does. But this is fucking dangerous. And it pissed off the Secret Service, because they're more bound to get shot than Hillary Clinton is, trying to protect her ass.
Yeah.
It's fucking scary.
I don't know, man. I've read a few articles that say that more than likely Trump is just gonna keep up the cuckoo, knowing that he's going down in flames, and he's just gonna increase the use of his own products now so that he can suck enough money out of the campaign to make it worthwhile. Some people are saying that he's going to quit altogether. I don't
Right.
see that. I don't see him turning it over to Mike Pence.
No, but I think the first thing you said may make some sense, which is he's going to have to keep getting more and more extreme in order to probably not even gain more support, but maintain the support that he already has. And I was reading an anonymously written article by a psychiatrist was talking about how he's self-destructive. He's got social anxiety issues, all this other shit. But one of the things that he said is that Trump is going to get way more aggressive and way more outspoken the closer we get to November to try to preserve his platform, which means, and I've said this before, there's only one minority group he hasn't gone after yet. And that's why this man predicted that he's going to use the N-word before he gets to November. Just to make sure you get every last racist out there. Blacks are the one group he has not really gone after yet because it's taboo. Muslims and Hispanics, I guess they're not as, we didn't enslave them for hundreds of years. Maybe that, well, I don't know.
I just don't see what using the N-word could do for him. I mean, he's already getting 0% of the black vote. So by using the N-word, he's going to go negative. He's going to owe black.
Well, he might actually have some to gain. I mean, there might be, Cletus and Skeeter might be waiting by going, he's attacked every other group, but he hasn't attacked the one that we care about yet. We don't burn crosses on Mexican lawns. We just blame it on the, he's going to get more extreme because the more extreme he gets, the more media. No, it's not going to win.
No, I know. I don't know. I don't know that I buy into him using the N-word before the whole thing's out. Maybe it'll come out that he used it in private conversation, but not
with Paula Deen.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't see him doing that on national television. That would be majestic. That would be like watching a dump truck go off a 500-foot cliff. Like that would just, wow, look at that. Wow.
Well, I mean, it's been subtle. It's been very subtle so far. The Star of David meme that they created for Hillary Clinton. It's been subtle, and I think that's what's going to start disappearing the subtlety of his racism.
But see, all those things though, like I don't buy that Trump didn't tell people to put the Star of David on that, and he didn't tell people to put Nazi soldiers.
It was his campaign though.
No, it was his campaign, but they just that exact photo, that meme photo,
right?
I had read was taken off of a white supremacist group's.
It was.
Yeah. So that wasn't them putting it together. That's just them being stupid about what they're putting back out there.
How can you be that stupid?
Because these people look at the people he surrounded himself with. He has people that he either controls or people that live in his circle of rich
or carry his golf clubs.
People that serve him.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying is he lives in his own bubble inside the bubble. So he doesn't understand how the rest of the world
works. Very bubblicious.
He thinks that gold, all that gold all over his apartment in Trump Tower, he thinks that looks good.
Oh, it looks like shit.
Yeah, I mean,
those chairs that him and Pence sat in for the 60-minute interview, those looked uncomfortable as shit.
Not only uncomfortable, but just highly inappropriate. What are they, Saudi princes? Like,
right. Still, I'm just saying, extremely uncomfortable. I mean, if you're gonna be rich, at least sit in fucking Lazy Boys or something.
Yeah, he's just. I think he's gonna lose in spectacular fashion now. And by the way, though, I have heard from multiple people now the same theory that I posed to you over a year ago, probably a year ago now, that Trump met with the Clintons 3 days before he announced. People are starting to wonder if Hillary and Bill arranged this whole thing just to guarantee Hillary gets in.
I don't think his polls suck now, but I mean, they are just polls.
No, but think about that. Yeah, he's not winning any group. He's winning uneducated white men.
There's
even
a lot of those fucking idiots out there.
Not more than everybody else. Just hopefully everybody else comes out to vote. But think about this election right now. If it was Hillary Clinton versus even Chris Christie. But what if it was Hillary Clinton versus Jeb Bush, or Hillary Clinton versus Marco Rubio? You would not have this same issue. This would be a tighter race. They would be bombing Hillary in all the appropriate ways to do her damage, and the Republican message wouldn't be as just flippantly crazy as it is now. You know, they might be able to work with those candidates. I mean, the Republicans, this is completely 100% their fault for letting it get away from them. I don't know what the hell they were
starting
thinking.
8 years ago. Yeah,
I mean, if the Democrats can manipulate things to make sure that Hillary is the nominee, what the hell happened to the Republicans?
I don't know. I mean, especially where, it sucks that we, with Bernie and all that, we faced corruption, but corruption wasn't used where it probably should have been, which is on the right to make sure this shit didn't happen. But it's, did you hear who's prepping him for his debate?
Yeah, Roger Ailes.
Roger fucking Ailes. This is gonna be awesome. I cannot wait. Anyway,
yeah, he's gonna hit his same 5 points. You know what?
Smack her on the ass as she walks by.
Right. I hope that when all of this is written down in history books, the chapter for this election is called "What the Fuck."
Yeah, exactly.
Like just America. What the fuck? Just. America,
yeah. Can you imagine if a show like Drunk History exists like 80 years from now? They're not even gonna have to be drunk to tell this fucking story. You're not gonna believe it, no matter how sober the person is that tells you. This has been the craziest year in politics. But with that, we gotta cut it off for right now, and let's get to the second half of Nick's interview with two millennials from college, both lesbians. And let's take a listen.
So what are some of this kind of leads into the next question. What are some of the biggest misconceptions that you feel that people or the media have about LGBT people, other than scissoring and
sex craze,
apparently raping you in the middle of the night?
It's just a lot of people just think we're bad people, like religious people.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hell because we're gay. Like, I don't feel like, how are we doing anything wrong? I'm not.
Well, in our eyes, but.
Well, I know, but I had this girl in high school. Amanda got into an argument with someone because she compared gay marriage to rape.
Oh, yes. She said it's the exact same sin, that in God's eyes, if I were to rape somebody, or I were to be a homosexual, that in his eyes, I was committing the exact same sin.
Okay.
You tell me how I controlled not throwing that desk because that's not like me.
It must have been more like statutory rape, like, when a minor can consent but they're too young to technically consent.
The worst part about
maybe
it,
that's what she meant.
She's homosexual now.
She came out a couple years ago, and now she's dating girls.
Okay, see that kind of we'll get back to the misconceptions thing in a second, but that's kind of an interesting thing too. Like I was talking about earlier with the log cabin Republicans, there seems to be an awful lot of Republicans that are like staunch anti-homosexual conservatives, and then you find out that they've been seeing a gay male prostitute, or that they're tapping their foot under the bathroom stall in the airport to get a blowjob or something. So, what do you think? What is that?
I honestly believe it's the surroundings, because in her case, in this female that told me that it was an equivalent sin, that her parents were very religious and very conservative, and she was brought up in a household where you did not even speak of that type of thing. And so when we got into that argument, and that it was a very heated debate, I won't sit here and fib, in front of 30 plus people in that classroom, it was very heated. When we got into that argument, I feel like maybe somehow I got through to her and opened her eyes to the, like, there are different people. You can be different. Mm-hmm. Not everyone's going to be the same, and I feel like she was so closeted because of the situation she was in her home, living with her parents. It seems like the second that she got out on her own, she was a homosexual all of a sudden. So how long did she suppress those feelings? How long did she feel these things, or have these urges to talk to the same sex, but couldn't because she was so... I mean, there were rules and guidelines shoved down her throat, it seems almost.
So you think that's the same kind of thing that happens with
I feel like
Republicans? They grow up in
They
that
wanna fit in.
environment?
I
Or,
feel like it's very common. It's
They're
very
very
common.
wealthy and high class, and they just want to keep that, and they feel if they come out and say who they truly are, what they truly want to be, they're not going to fit anymore. They're not
Right.
going to accept them in that.
Okay. So back to the misconceptions. Are there any other that?
Can you ask that one more time? Because I forgot.
What are the biggest misconceptions that you think like the people or the media have about LGBT people?
Like saying we're sex crazed and all that stuff.
Because if you watch like I've mentioned this to people before, if you watch Orange Is the New Black, particularly the earlier seasons,
It's
you think that a
very
woman's
sexual.
prison is just having sex every other day, you know?
Which,
Right.
come on, they're not gonna get away with that.
Well,
I don't think.
No, or just in general, other shows like
Well, we know sex happens in prison, but it's not every day. And
Right, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming I've never been to prison,
a
but
lot of shows do that, and
I think the biggest misconception would have to be the fact that but people assume that you like everybody you meet that is the sex that you're driven toward. I feel like I've been asked so many times if I have two heterosexual best friends. They're females, they have families, they're, gorgeous women that I feel nothing for.
all right,
They're my best friend. I could sleep next to them. They can trust me. I can trust them. There's nothing like that.
right,
But we're asked on a daily basis, are you two together? Are you guys a thing? You know, are you dating?
right.
First off, one of them has 2 children with a man. The other one is pregnant. Like, I can be gay and not be driven toward these people that I just care about as
Right.
friends. You know, and that is probably the biggest misconception that I've had.
no, I agree. Everyone thinks me and my best friend are together. She's one of the straightest people I've ever met in my life. There's no chance at all. People we went to high school with are seeing us on like social media, like posting best
Yeah.
friend pictures together, and
They asked me if they were together.
and why? Just because we're in a picture together? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, I suppose that that can happen to anybody. I mean, straight or gay.
yeah.
Because I've been here on campus where I've been talking to somebody that's in my class because we were talking about a lab assignment, and somebody else walked up and was like, "Oh, are you guys dating?"
It does happen.
It's like
a
I've
lot,
been married
yeah.
15 years.
Yeah.
No.
I think it might be a maturity issue because we're on a college campus. Normally, the average student is probably below the age of 25.
Yeah.
Okay, so until then, we're still maturing. We still have a long, long, long way to go. And I think that in our age bracket, there's a big maturity issue, and people just are assuming and asking these questions. How old do you think the person was that asked you?
Oh, they were young. I mean, I'm going to be 36 at the end of this year, so everybody I look at here is a baby, you know.
So would you assume at 36 years old that if you saw 2 people talking that they were dating or they were seeing each other?
No,
They're
but
having a conversation. Right?
no, but personally, I mean, I've grown up in enough different towns and environments to not look at anybody and assume anything anymore. Like there are still difficult things that I try to think about because I don't ever desire to offend anybody. But if I met you for the first time, I would say, "Oh, do you have a spouse?" So I would try to put something out that way because in this day and age, I don't know.
You never know.
Yeah, I don't know who is with anybody, and I would like to think that if I said, "Oh, do you have a husband?" that you wouldn't be like, "What? No, of course I don't have a husband. I'm gay," But sometimes some people do act like that. Like I should know. Like I don't have gaydar, You know, I know a lot of people say they have gaydar, but I don't have gaydar. I know I don't.
Can we, for a second, go back to misconceptions?
Yeah.
Nobody thinks that I'm gay because I am feminine. No, there is not a single person in the entire world that I have met that has said, you look like gay. You look like you're gay. They have told me, how are you so pretty and gay?
I was just about to say, that's another really offensive
I've gotten
one.
that one so many times I cannot tell you. I mean, I'm
Right.
flattered, thank you. But you're too pretty to be gay.
Right.
What the hell
Well,
does
yeah,
gay look like?
and for our listeners who, of course, can't see because they're listening, Amanda is dressed, nicely. She's casual, but she's not, she doesn't have any particular look about her, but she's a pretty young lady, and Shelby is as well. Shelby's a little more kind of, blue jeans and a t-shirt, but yeah, I mean, that's, just a laid back look, and Amanda's a little bit more, I don't know, gussied up, but
I'm very feminine.
yeah.
I will.
Hair done, nails done, makeup done.
Yeah, I
all
get
the
my
time.
acrylics done. I get my pedicures every 2 weeks. I wear earrings. I do my hair every single day. Full face of makeup. Very feminine. And I'm glad we came back to that. I'm glad you put that on my mind because that offends me so bad.
Really?
Yes, it's very offensive. How am I too pretty to be gay? There is not. I mean, you can have an idea of what a gay woman would look like. More laid back clothing, maybe their hair put up in a bun. Shelby. You know what I mean? But I can be gay and be feminine and want to like constantly get my hair and nails done.
Well, so is the assumption there too? Because I remember when I lived in San Francisco, they had just like gay men have different words for each other, like
Oh, yeah.
bear and whatnot. There were lesbians that would tell me, oh, well, she's a lipstick lesbian
I'm
and
a
stuff
lipstick
like. So you're a
lesbian.
lipstick lesbian.
Yes.
So do people assume that therefore because you're a lipstick lesbian, you have to be with like a bull dyke or like with?
So we have. I think now it's more like femme, stem,
There's
dyke.
so many different
Uh-huh.
ones.
A stud, like that type of thing. There is like a femme should be with a stem or a stud or a dyke, but a lot of us get really aggressive when it comes to that topic because it's not frowned upon as much to have two femmes together.
Uh-huh.
But the second you get two studs or dykes together, dyke sometimes offends people, but the second you get two of them together, it's like, oh my god. But look at it this way. If you have two men on the street making out or kissing or being any kind of affectionate toward each other,
Right.
it is going to get a lot more negative looks than if you see two females holding hands, sitting on each other's laps, kissing, whatever. So I think it's just like that. It's just like two femmes, we're two feminine women. It's okay because look, they look
good.
They look fine doing it. Yeah.
But these are not hard fast rules. This
Right.
is just something that kind of.
That kind of happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because even with men, there's always the assumption that well, one of them's got to be the husband and one of them's got to be the wife, quote
Right.
unquote.
Which one is the guy?
Yeah,
Right.
which one is
How
the guy?
many times have you heard that?
So that's another one then. Which one is the guy?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. My current girlfriend is a lot more butch.
She's
you
very
would say.
yeah.
Dresses in guy clothing, short hair.
Uh-huh.
Still a girl, feminine face. Wears makeup. I don't dress very girly.
Right.
I wear, for the most part, guy clothes also.
So do people call you a dyke or?
No.
It's more of a
I still feel like you're feminine. Your nails are painted, you have makeup on, you still wear your earrings. Like I don't know, I still would consider you a femme. For me, the last person I dated, I'm not currently in a relationship, but the last person I dated was a stem, which is like a studly feminine.
Uh-huh.
And so she had very long hair, always did it. It was always straight and down. She never wore makeup, but we only shopped for her in the men's department. So you could assume what her style was like. I mean, blue jeans, she wore like button-ups, that type of thing. But she was really pretty in the face. She was still a female.
Mm-hmm.
You could still tell she was a girl. But I don't...
People still are like, how do you dress like that and your girlfriend dresses like that? Because they just assume that I need to be more girly because she
Yeah.
is so butch.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't you wearing a dress? Why are you wearing a button-up? Because
This is what I want to
wear
wear.
button-up. She likes me in a button-up. Why does it matter?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, and I mean, even as a straight man, my wife kind of, she doesn't dictate what I wear because normally I'm just t-shirt and jeans or something.
Mhm.
But if we're going out, yeah, I definitely do get you're wearing this or you gotta
Can I
wear
just
this.
make the comment that I bought and picked out everything in her wardrobe? It completely changed from what she was. I was like, I like this on you. This is what I'm buying.
So you were the wife.
I am most certainly the wife, just not wiped up yet. So.
Okay, so we're kind of getting to the end here, and one of the other topics that I wanted to touch on was, do either of you watch the show Blackish, or have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
I've heard of it, but
Well, the lead actor on there who plays the father, he was giving an interview, and he was talking about essentially. To paraphrase, I would just say kind of maybe a black privilege that his children are growing up with, because he said that his children were growing up in a day and age when Obama was president, so they've never known a time when there wasn't a black man as the president. So obviously they're quite young. They're still, I think, 8 to 11, somewhere in that age range. So when they look at that, they just think, oh, a black man can be president. Like they don't understand what an enormous deal that is. And I wonder, as two members of the LGBT community who are growing up in a day and age where gay marriage is legal now and barriers are like falling down like dominoes, and there's still that heavy resistance, there's still the transgender issue and the trans bathrooms, and obviously the Republican platform that I read to you, who, by the way, they're also attacking porn now. They're calling it a public health crisis. But growing up as millennials in this day and age with all of these privileges that you guys now have as LGBT, do you guys appreciate where that came from?
Oh, exponentially. I don't think that people understand how much thought I put into this.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I have an uncle who is gay, and growing up, my mom, told me all kinds of stories about where he came from and like what he had to undergo and all of that stuff. There is so much appreciation in how much they have gone through just for us to be where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest, at 22 and almost 21, but still 20 years old, we haven't had enough time to make a difference. We haven't had enough laws that we're able to vote on, like anything like that. So all of the credit for how many hurdles we've jumped goes to, the people who are a little bit older than us and have been here a little bit longer and voted toward these things and helped this change. I don't know. I can't say thank you enough to the people who have allowed us to be able to do these things.
Right.
I agree with you, and I put a lot of thought into it also, and we would not be where we are right now if it wasn't for them. But I don't feel like everybody our age really appreciates it.
No.
Right.
Because they don't
They
know.
don't think about it. They don't
A
think
lot
about
of
it.
people don't.
So do you think like the average LGBT person your age, at least in your circle, would know who Harvey Milk is,
definitely not.
or know what the Stonewall riots were? And
I doubt it.
okay.
Yeah, no, there's no way.
I can't even myself say that I know.
100%
No.
what they were.
Yeah, and I don't speak on things that I don't know. I don't
Right,
sound like
right.
an idiot, so I can't even say that I fully understand anything like that in that little thing.
Well, as an older guy, I would say read up on it, or at least watch Sean Penn's movie Milk, which is about the
I've heard of that.
Harvey Milk. It's a very good movie, but I'm not here to preach to you guys about your own community, but I would say that as a straight guy who's the age that I am, I've got a huge appreciation for the LGBT community in the sense that I've lived in a few different places. I've lived in San Francisco for a short amount of time, and I just kind of put myself out there a little bit more just to experience some of the stuff that the community seems to be about, and even watching Logo and like RuPaul's Drag Race and stuff like that. Like, I am totally a fan of drag queens. Like, that is completely awesome. But is there anything that do you feel for the most part that straight people understand the LGBT community, or could they do more to understand it, or do you even care if they understand or not?
It would be nice for them to understand. It would make it a lot easier on us with the looks and the support, because we're fighting it not completely on our own. There are straight people that help, but a lot of them, it's like, oh, it's not my issue, so why do I care? Yeah. They can fight it on their own. Well, there's not enough of us, really. So that would be nice.
I don't know if I could necessarily ask someone to understand something unless they're in it, like unless they are. It would be harder for me to understand something that I had no relation to, that I've never experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So
what you're saying is you don't think it's fair to ask somebody to attempt to understand something
you can,
that they themselves could never experience. Like, they will never know what it's like to be a 22-year-old lesbian if they're not one. Or if they haven't been one.
I don't think that they can fully understand what it's like to be a 22-year-old lesbian unless they are one.
Right.
I don't think they can fully understand all of the crap that you go through on a daily basis, meeting new people and having to say that you are gay.
Right.
Like, you don't have to walk up to me and tell me that you're straight. I don't know. I can say that from my point of view, it would be very hard for me to understand what it would be like to be a 27-year-old male who was heterosexual. I don't know. I think that we can attempt to explain it, but until we are willing to explain it and willing to go through all of the things that it's going to take to explain these things that they're not going to understand. And so honestly, it really falls onto us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be an advocate of ourselves and try to help other people understand. You can't just want, like, hey, I want you to understand, but not put any effort toward it, not explain it, not do more.
Well, so to wrap this up here, because we've gone a bit longer than I was asked to go, which, in my mind is good. So don't give me crap, Mike.
Sorry, Mike.
Are you guys hopeful for the future for the LGBT community and where basically the country's going? I know we talk about on the show sometimes that the country is getting less and less religious. Atheists are now the second largest group in the country.
Oh, wow.
And I think that, at least in my humble opinion, that will help going forward, because there's no book telling anybody to dislike anyone.
Yeah.
So
I don't necessarily think they need to stop their religion. I have had good experience with people who are super religious. This girl I went to high school with, and junior high, most religious person I've ever met.
mm-hmm.
Straight by the book. I never once felt judged by her in any way, shape, or form. She let me stay the night at her house. She helped me when I was going through hard times. So they're, it's not all bad.
Mm-hmm. But if she was completely accepting, and
it is rare.
No. And but I was gonna say, and I don't know how she was. She's completely accepting to you, but if she has in the back of her mind that you're going to hell, does that bother you at all?
It would, because I thought of her as such a good friend. She had talked to me about it multiple times and never once said that she thought I was going to hell. She's like, you're a good person, you do good things for people, you're just into the same sex. Like, I don't know, she never made it seem like an issue. So I don't think that's what she believed. You know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like I am very hopeful for the future, and I feel like we're heading in the right direction, and I don't I don't foresee any huge issues like they would have had 30, 40 years ago happening again, which I'm grateful for, but I'm super hopeful and super excited to see how many hurdles we can jump in the next 10, 15 years, you know?
I definitely don't see it getting worse at all. It's been gradually getting better. There are some setbacks, but for the most part, it's improved so much since it used to be.
Very grateful.
Okay. Well, I thank you both for coming and answering some questions. I know you two are busy young people who are probably dying to get out there and play Pokemon Go.
I do not play that game. Don't start with me.
I play that game.
Okay, well, please don't get hit by a car.
I'll try.
So I thank you, Amanda and Shelby. And once again, this is Nick for the Age of Reason podcast. And I will talk to you again some other day.
Dude, I just got to tell you, like, these interviews that you're doing, they're so awesome. I love it. So the next one that'll be coming up will be 2 Hispanic millennials that will kind of cover the same kind of topics, how they feel about our nation and Donald Trump, and where they think their acceptance is going. But what was running through your head with some of the Republican answer that one of them gave regarding guns? I believe this is from the first half.
Well, it's kind of hard because, off interview, one of them had talked about actually being really pro-gun. But I think that they kind of held the stereotypical beliefs that I would expect them to hold. The pro-gun thing surprised me a little bit.
Right.
The most jarring thing for me in that interview, because I had a great time on that interview. Those girls were absolutely fantastic.
They were just in sync with each other. Their answers, the way their banter back and forth was fantastic.
Oh, totally. The one thing that bugged me the most out of that was hearing the Shelby say that her friend had asked another friend during a sleepover if she was okay sleeping in the same room. Like, the implication there, like, she's a lesbian, she's going to automatically rape you. It just that's the thing where, despite the fact that they hadn't had that many difficulties in the town that they live in, it's just the same thing as people say, well, we got a black president, racism is over. No, it's not. It's all just, it's bubbling right under the surface. There's something there. It's not completely accepted yet. So, they have to keep their struggle going. They have to keep the awareness going. They have to, get out there, and, especially with these two, they you said they were so in sync, and they had some quick minds, and they were on the ball with it. I really hope that they do something in the future that, they can take charge in the LGBT community, or they can just make a difference in their regular community. I know one of them wants to be a police officer, so I hope she gets it. I hope that she does it. I hope that she really makes a difference out there.
Agreed, and just the disturbing part that you brought up was exactly what I brought up after the first half. That's where our first half ended last week. And that was the disturbing part for me, because that's what I don't understand, and I expect this more out of guys, because guys are, women are a little more touchy-feely with each other, a little more comfortable with their sexuality, I think, generally, than males are. But that's the big thing about when people are homophobic. The phobia part of it is gay guys want to fuck me, and I just can't get over how arrogant that is. Like, I do not understand, and I've been hit on by gay people twice.
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I held my fucking cool. I don't think every time I meet a gay person, like, I don't understand where that arrogance comes from.
Can I be devil's advocate, though, real quick?
Sure.
What if you were in that same situation where you had to share a hotel with a gay guy, and they didn't have a 2-bedroom, and you ended up having to share the queen-size bed with him?
I don't think there would be anything wrong with, if that was a female, one of you would sleep on the couch. or on the floor or something like that.
Right.
And I think that, you know, that's my first thought about it, because if there is any type of sexual possibility of sexuality between the two of you, like you and I have a friend who is bi, and if one of us ever had to stay in a hotel room with her, I would expect, you know, I would sleep on I would let her have the bed. I would sleep on the couch, and it's not because, and it's only because there is, you know, the possibility for something not. We're also both married, but you know where I'm going with this. I think that's really what it is. I think, you know, because Alex and I mean, like, we grew up together, and there was 4 of us in one bedroom. Like, sleeping with the same sex in the same bed, not a problem. But
Alex wasn't attracted to guys, you know.
Well, he didn't used to be. I'm totally totally kidding.
But
once you put that sexual attraction there, I think it's polite to both parties to sleep in separate beds or separate locations.
I think it's polite to have the conversation, you know, the friend that you brought up, if it were the situation where you had to share a bed or there was only one bed, I think it's polite to say, do you have a problem sharing the bed, or would you prefer I sleep on the floor? Right. And if they say that there's no problem there, then that's the end of the conversation. But you know, the very idea that, but that would be because, you know, since she's bi and you're straight, there's something sexual from both people there,
right?
You know, in the other sense, there's the one person who's sexually attracted to the same sex,
right,
and that member of the same sex who is attracted to the opposite sex. So by implication, it would have to be a rape.
Yeah, I don't get that. I do not understand. And I mean, you know, if it was a gay male that was my best friend growing up, like, it sounds like that was the case with these two. So, I mean, you and I have known each other for what, like 13 years, somewhere around there. If you all of a sudden outed yourself, I honestly wouldn't give a shit. As far as, like, you know, you and I have actually never stayed in a hotel room together, but like, if that was I don't know. I don't have a fear of 2 guys is different. You get morning wood. I think you're erect what percentage of the night? There's just more things to run into with 2 males in a bed. I don't know. But like I said, women are more comfortable with their sexuality than men are.
Yeah, I did have to share a bed with a guy that I worked with back when I worked on the ambulance, and it was funny because when I woke up in the morning, I was actually the big spoon. I had my arm over him, and when I woke up, he like turned his head and looked at me, and he's like, "So, were you gonna kiss me first, honey?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man." So I just rolled over and we went back to sleep. You know, like it. You know, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I'm not even specifically referring to the lesbian portion of this now. I'm just, in general, the implication that you can't share the bed with a person of the same sex, where one person is attracted to the same sex and the other isn't. Yeah. The implication there is that there's going to be rape, and to just assume that you know, oh, I'm a guy and you're attracted to guys, you aren't going to be able to resist this luscious body.
Exactly.
You know, like,
and that's my point.
Yeah.
Even the guys that are out there that say, I got no problem with gay people as long as they don't hit on me. Well, what the fuck you doing in a gay bar, dude? Get the fuck out. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, we gotta cut this short, or not short, but we gotta cut it now, or we're gonna go over in time. But again, thanks for filling in, man, and we look forward to putting your next interview on here probably in the next 2 weeks.
And we'll I can't promise it's fireworks. It's good, but it's
they're millennials. They're just apathetic.
Well, they're boys,
and they're boys. What are they gonna do?
Yeah, it's like they didn't mature yet. The girls hit the maturity scale, and the guys kind of slowly puttered into it on a moped. You know.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's you know, it's even though it's not going to be as entertaining as I think this one was. I mean, it's still good to hear what our youth is thinking about what the hell is going on right now. You know, the section of this portion of history being what the fuck. Anyway,
right.
So with that, What?
No, I'm going to try to get the police officer, and possibly toward the end of this week, I may get the blue collar guy for you. But after
looking
that,
forward to both, especially
school is starting, so
I'm looking forward to both of those, especially the law enforcement one. I think that's gonna play very well into what's going on, because even though we're not covering it, shit, black versus blue is still living strong right now. But with that, thanks for joining us, everybody. Check us out on Facebook at the Age of Reason podcast page. Follow us on Twitter at AOR_podcast. And for everything else, AORpodcast.com. We'll see you guys next time.